Right, welcome into the pod for the 25th episode of Finding Balance in EDM. Today we have our first guest from the UK. He is signing on PH7 Records next month, and he is also a Cosmic Academy alum. He spent time in the US and now is back home in Bracknell, UK. Let's dive in with Aman Kahlon. How you doing, man?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Good, good. So yeah, I just love to jump straight into it with the questions. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself, who you are, and how you became an artist, Amon?
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Aman Kahlon. I was born here in the UK and I've moved several times. I've lived in the States, moved back to the UK, went back there, kind of on repeat. It was in the US I actually fell in love with the rave culture. Went to my first festival, EDC 2013, throwback back in Chicago. And honestly, that changed my life. I didn't know such a scene existed. I didn't even know who was spinning at the time, but I fell in love with it. Like the atmosphere on the floor, the energy, everybody being in harmony. And from
Yes.
that day, I was like, this is like what the direction I want to head in.
Yeah.
However, at the time I was studying, so I couldn't exactly like go for it for other reasons. But then getting into work, and I thought, you know what? I've always wanted to do that. Let me give it a shot.
Yes. And so it seems that like the energy part, I always ask like why dance music? Why did you get into dance music? And out of all the other music that there is in the world, is it because of that energy, some of these like core initial experiences that you had?
Yeah, 100%. So when I was growing up in the UK, I was generally listening to a lot of bands at the time. I love bands like Linkin Park, etc. But also in the background there was AVB, there was Tiesto in his prime days, and there was quite a bit of that going on when Sandstorm was about. So then I moved to the US and kind of all of that went to the side, and it was more like rap based, etc. I was trying to fit in
Mm.
listening to rap, and it was only until I went back into my first festival again that it all came back. I was like, hang on a second, I found my roots. Rock, the band
Oh,
side wasn't what it used to be, but then electronic music was just kicking off. And
yes.
again, the harmony on the dance floor, the energy, I mean, the way things were heading, it just like sparked something within me. And
Bridge us a little bit back from when you were initially getting inspired and you spent a little bit of time in the U.S. to bringing yourself back to Europe.
so when I first went to my festival 2013 in Chicago, I was so like flabbergasted by the experience. I came to UK that summer and I immediately looked for the next lineup and I found Creamfields in the UK. Prior to that, I didn't know what Creamfields was. And then I find out it's a festival in the UK like EDC. So then I go to Creamfields that summer. The
Is
next
it
year, EDC comes to England.
called Korean Fields? What is
No,
this?
Creamfields.
Cream
It,
Fields. I've never
yeah,
heard of this.
really, it's a bit silly, but honestly, the lineup is insane. Like, I've been to Tomorrowland, EDC, but when it comes to the music lineup, I think Creamfield's lineup is one of the best.
And it,
It's
the
the
UK.
UK's biggest electronic festival.
Super, yeah. I mean, just while you taking a moment, bringing me into the UK a little bit, which none of us on this podcast probably know none about, or maybe a little bit about. I personally don't. Or what is your favorite part about living in the UK? And I know that's a very broad geo space, but because I know Bracknell, I honestly don't. I haven't looked it up yet, so. I'll just ask, what do you like most about living in the UK? And you can maybe even tell me a little bit about your city. That'd be cool.
For sure. So I actually used to live in London, in Greater London. When I came to the States, I tried to get back into London, but it didn't work out with tenancy and whatnot. So where I
Sure.
am temporarily is in Bracknell, and it's about an hour or so from the city. Could jump on a train, takes
Copy.
half an hour. But closest city I would say is London, and what I do love about it is honestly the music scene, the rave scene, it's something else. There's always something going on every weekend. Festivals are popping. I can't say the rest for for the remainder of the country, but London's
Yeah.
music scene is definitely like up there, and that's
What are,
what kind of ignites me.
what are some of the clubs out there that are in London that for house and techno?
So you may have heard of Ministry of Sound.
Oh,
That's
actually,
probably a
I
big
have
one.
actually.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a big one. And then you have Fabric, you have Egg, and then there are other venues like there was Printworks and there's Drum Sheds. And these are like huge venues that are literally like a festival stage, but it's for a day rave, and that's a constant thing now.
I love that. There's a place here in Austin that's like that called Concourse, and it's just a big old professional warehouse, but it's like a
Yeah, yeah,
very,
exactly.
very bougie warehouse, but really great big space to where you can do big productions in there, and it's really cool. Um,
For sure. It makes you feel like you're at a festival, even though it's like winter and it's cold out. And that's what I love. It's like the accessibility is everywhere.
Yeah, yeah, man. London is it's been on my my radar for such a long time that I just want to go and experience, take a vacation over there and drop a week and just have some fun. Maybe and at this pace that I'm going, maybe work with an artist, maybe go over there and write a song with somebody over there while I'm over there. Because there's so many things that have inspired me in the music world that has come out of like, that area, such as Above and Beyond. I really love Anjuna Beats and everything that they've done with that. And this never happened. That is an American label. Is Lane 8 in the US or
I I actually don't know where he's from.
yeah, I know. I
But
can't
I'm so
remember. I can't.
familiar.
I know the designer that did his entire brand artwork for all of those, a pieces of floral art that he does on his album works that he does. I looked up that artist because I was making a custom flag once,
Oh, okay.
and that designer is, I believe, in the UK, but I don't know if Lane 8's in Europe. Anyways, back to the Anjuna Beats. Has Anjuna Beats inspired you at all with your type of music?
Yeah, 100%. So actually for me, I feel like there's two sides of my music. There's the dark side and there's like my brighter side, the light side. And my light side 100% takes influence from Anjuna Beats and their artists like Latrell, Tinlicker, as you said, Above and Beyond. There's something about that
Uh,
feel good music, you know? And there's actually
I
a rave in
love
2 weeks. They're
Tinlicker.
here in London, and it's an open air, but it's like I mean, that vibe they bring, it's that summer vibe. It's good.
I do love some of the bright. I love Tinlicker. I love Elon Bluestone. I also found a name Matt Fax when I went to a dream state one
Oh,
year. I don't know if you've heard of Matt Fax.
no, I haven't.
That was a new name to me, but one of those trance names that's been around for 15, 20 years. I'm like, holy crap.
Nice.
So that's on the bright side. What would you kind of relate some of which is you're definitely just rolling through this natural conversation of some of your inspirations and who are these artists, your favorites and stuff. If that's on the bright side of Aman, and I'm gonna pronounce it right. I was saying Kahlon. It's
It Callan?
Callan,
Yeah,
Callan,
yeah, Callan, yeah.
Callan, Callan. Okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna mess that one up again. So,
No, it's cool.
Callan, on the bright side of Callan, we got Latrell, Tinlicker, Above and Beyond as inspirations. On the dark side, do you have any names that, or even labels or anything that comes to mind?
Yeah, 100%. So, I mean, the dark side, we're talking like Drum Code, Adam Bear, Enrico Sangiuliano, Victor Ruiz. But then I like a bit of balance, and like you have Eric Prydz, he's my favorite, and I love his dark side, Cyrus D. He's my like that is my number one artist right there. But I love how
What?
he's like he moves from like he's Prydz in the middle, then he has his brighter side, but his dark side, Cyrus D, who he goes back to
Yes.
back with Adam Bear. That's it for me. It's like yo, I need to sit down.
So there's an Adam Bear, but there's also an Andrew Bear, right?
Andrew Bear, I don't think not that I've heard on Drum Code or
Oh, Adam Bear is a part of Drum Code.
he's a label owner.
I was a label owner of Drum Code.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
he goes
Okay.
back to back with Cyrus D, and like his sets are amazing too, man.
Label owner. Gotcha. Yeah, I haven't listened to too much drum code. I'll have to tap into that a little bit. When you say Eric Pritz, though, it just kind of gives me a sense of your maturity in the flavor and taste in dance music because I love Eric Pritz as well. I love that. I love his style. Then there's
100%.
Armin. There's art, yeah. There's like I feel like there's Eric Prydz, then there's Above and Beyond, then there's Cascade, and then there's Armin. And Cascade's not really trance, but let me maybe I'll peel him out. But those like I feel like those are like defining genres of trance, the feelings of them, the light and the dark, so to say.
Mm, for sure. They're literally their own subgenres themselves. I mean, it's incredible. Like when you actually go see a set and then you're like,
Yeah.
hang on, this encompasses so much within electronic music and it's just this one artist.
Yes, exactly, exactly. So let's dive into. We've talked about some inspiration a little bit. We're getting a feel of the lay of the land right now. When was it that you started to say, "I want to become a DJ," and then keep that in mind? When was it, "I want to transform into an artist"?
So for me, I mean, it was like 2013, like, yo, this is what I want to do, but I didn't pursue it until it was 7 years ago I started pursuing it. So that takes me to about, yeah, 2017, I started my journey as a producer. And then I was producing on and off for some time because I was moving a lot, quite a bit, and producing the whole learning side of it, it takes a chunk out of your day.
Oh
You
yeah.
need to like kind of manage, and I wasn't, even though it's been almost 7 years, I would say full time producing probably for 4 years. But then after I've completed all these moves and I'm like, you know what, this is where I'm living, I'm stable now, I've got some stability, I want to make this work because I
I,
didn't
I'll,
want to,
I'll
for
tap into
example.
that real quick. I love you saying that because that's what I'm about to go do in Austin. I feel like my life's just been, I've been doing this and doing that, but as soon as I just ground and say I'm going to stay here for like 2 years or so or whatever, it helps the mind, right? You wake up on a Saturday, you're like, I know what I'm about to go do, and then a
Yeah,
song's done by
exactly.
noon. Like,
And then you can build on that because when you're moving around, it's like, even like this whole studio, I'm like, oh, I'm moving again. Do I want to put it up? And then you just with your laptop and headphones. But
yeah.
once you're stable, you can build on that foundation. And I feel like the reward compounds over time.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's what allows you to like really reach for your dreams. Whereas before, when you're on and off, it is disheartening because it takes a while to go back into like an old project. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly, it does. That workflow, that flow, and creating your space is just so important. For me, I've just kind of transformed into like being a very, flexible producer in the sense that I don't even like I'm about to move into this new apartment, right? And I don't know, do I set up like a core studio, or how important is a studio to me if all I really need is my laptop, a monitor, and these guys. And I don't know, I'm always thinking about like my neighbors. If I don't have a house yet, then you're probably in an apartment, you have a neighbor. If you have neighbors, you probably are going to hear anything over, shoot, you even crank it up even halfway. You're gonna on
Yeah.
that interface. It's gonna be heard, and so I don't know. I'd love to ask this question. Do you like to keep it simple when setting up the studio, or do you like to develop your setup?
I would say, well, it started off as simple, but over time I've gradually added things here and there. But in all
Yeah.
honesty, I've got my monitors, my interface, my controller, and that's about it. And like a keyboard, just to like try play some notes in.
Yeah, I personally, I've been just getting into trying to use more keyboard. Actually, one of my friends that I made here in Houston recently, he goes by Ross Scott, and I spent Saturday writing a song with him, and he gets hands on, and I like to draw a lot, and just I know how to compose, arrange, place down, process, do whatever I need to do from my mouse and just on the screen. And he was like, just I know it's gonna feel like your hands are just like not working, but try. And I'm like,
Yeah,
okay.
for sure.
And over time, you're like, you know what? I came up with just a simple, sharp black key melody that hit well with this synth. That was just like 2 bars, 2 bars,
Yeah.
three, and so it was and then I was able to just use my intuition to let things carry, which was just different than when I was like boom check, boom check, boom check, and then I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I like the way that sounds now. Totally different process.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that. The thing is, when you get so used to it, like even when I was just on my laptop alone, I'm just so used to my laptop shortcuts rather than using another keyboard, and you kind of want to stay in in that zone, but
Yeah.
there's so much room to expand. And I haven't touched my keyboard in a minute, if I'm gonna be honest with you. But like, it's there for when I feel like I want to like be creative, let's say, because it's nice to draw it in.
Yes, yes, yes. So we were talking about the producing a little bit, and we were getting into just about the time that you were going on and off with producing. You were starting to. When was it that it was? You said when you got to Brecknell, when you were able to stabilize, you're like, I'm going to be here, and
Yeah.
now I can
So
now I can focus. Is that when Cosmic Academy came in, or?
no, so I actually was last September. I moved back to the UK. Prior to that, I was in the US. I was in the US for about a year almost, and that's when I did Cosmic, because I quit my job in the UK, and I was kind of like I was kind of going through some stuff, so I just left, and then I
Absolutely.
came to the States, and then I stayed with my family. I was like, now's the perfect time. I called Justin. I was like, I don't know if right now is the right time. He's like, there's never a right time. Do it now, and that's when I did it, and it worked out perfect because I was like, I was living there at the time, whereas people were logging on from the UK at like 4 or 5 a.m. I was like, I can't do that because I feel like it'll jeopardize your thinking. You know, you need to be fully aware, for myself at least.
Yeah,
And then I
same.
came back in summer and I'm like, I'm staying here. Now I can actually push for the things I want.
Mm.
And that's it. Now I'm actually trying to like get my music out there because I know I can be consistent with completing songs, finishing them, sending them. Whereas
Yes.
before it was like during the whole move, it took me almost, I think like 5 months to finish one song because there was just so much moving involved.
Yeah.
And then there's the whole job hunt, this and that. But yeah, as of last September, coming back, I've been like fully focused in making the artist alive.
Yeah. I mean, you're definitely thinking about all the right things from like making sure your job's a lot, let's square that away. Make sure we're moving and taking care of things we need to take care of. And then the music's always going to be there. You sit down, just yeah, just always be thinking about it, right? So you can get back to it because if you're not thinking that you'll get back to it, you may never, right? So it's really good that you transitioned and were able to, keep, what you were trying to do. You saw your future self and that your future self was where what you're doing right now, comfortable, rinse and spin, just let's go kind of mindset. I love that. I love that a lot. So Cosmic
So
Academy
thank you.
was in the U.S. You were doing it while
Yeah,
you were in the
it was.
U.S.
Yeah. I was in near Chicago, well, in Illinois, like pretty much Greater Chicago,
Yeah.
and that was last. So I finished that last July, a year ago now, pretty much.
Nice, nice,
And I've been
nice.
meaning to like get music out there yet again. The moves have been happening, but now it's time. And what I do like is that I've got tracks from before Cosmic, and I was able to
Yeah.
go back to some and then take what I've learned, apply it, and make it sound more like it's ready to go.
Amen, man. That's the hardest part. I'm applying the not just feedback, but the critical feedback that's technical about the mix or arrangement or something like that. Going back and transforming. It's not and hearing it. You're like, I think it sounds right now, but they're telling me they're hearing something different, and I'm like, all right, well, I need to figure out if I agree with that. And then, but at the same time, you're going to them for the advice. They're the teachers, and so it's a constant battle because they're not 100% right, but they're 90% right. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes,
and
sir. Yeah,
I try to take that feedback and apply it the best way I can. But it's a mission. You got to sit down and you're like, I'm on a mission to get better right now and tweak this. I thought it sounded good before, but I'm going to have to change my ear or literally and really pick out what they're talking about so I can make this better. And that is so
yeah.
hard to do. So props to, taking that, sitting with your stuff, your art, your pieces and going back and saying, I can do better.
For sure. I
That's
appreciate
that's
it.
that's the mindset, man. So Cosmic, you graduated. I love to ask this question because we've had a couple Cosmic Academy alum on this.
Nice,
What do you
nice.
feel like it did for you as an artist, from your music to your brand?
So that's one thing. Brand is like a whole other side I wasn't even considering. Music wise, it's definitely allowed me to bring it to more of a professional level where I'm comfortable and confident in like releasing it so it'll fit into the radio, not having to worry about like levels, etc. Funny
Yeah.
enough, actually, the first demo of New Dawn that I sent out was me pre-Cosmic, and the post one was everything I learned, applied it, and it sounded like a whole nother song. Re-
Wow. I love
so
how fast it is, and I got that story out of you because yeah, that's what we got coming next month, baby.
Yeah, for sure. You have both versions, but yeah, man, that's pre and post Cosmic, and there's a lot like I've taken away from that, and even the marketing side. So I wasn't aware of how much that makes a difference. From there telling you, you should post consistently, get your angles in, just give people an idea of who you are or
What
what
you
you're
doing?
outside of your music, so they get like a feel for you that you're not just like a robot making music.
Right,
And
right.
and then that's when I was like, you know what, that makes sense because at times I was kind of just running out of things to like post. And then at
Yeah.
one point I was like, you know what, I think I'm just gonna have to wait it out. And then Cosmic came along, gave us a few ideas, what are your interests or what can people connect with you on? I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
I like hot sauce and I love my fruit. So two sides of me. And
That's right. You've been posted. You posted that fruit reel I watched the other day. You're like fruit, 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 chop.
that's it, man. Because for me, like, it's going back to like the dark side and the bright side, right? So like that dark side, the hot sauce is like that's my ambition, that's my passion, that's what I want. And then I have my fruit, which like liberates me, the free side, the one that lives in harmony, where it just like it's good for your soul. And
You
I would
are
say
onto
I'm everything in
something.
between. So yeah, that's it, man. Like the two sides of me, hey.
I love that. This is it feeds right into the brand conversation, and
Oh, for sure.
I don't even you could say your brand and tell me now. What was that like? Not even 20 seconds. I know Aman Kahlon. Oh my gosh, Kahlon.
Kalan. Kalan.
Callan. How am I
Yeah.
gonna remember this? Ka.
Kalan.
Oh, it is. It's literally
Lan.
Calon. I'm stupid. I'm so sorry, guys.
So what's funny
Um,
enough, like years ago, I was looking at just doing Calon as my name, right? Because that'll be like my dark side. That name was long gone. And then I was like Aman Kahlon because that was available, but up until recently.
I know we were going through that, man,
Yeah,
and
okay.
and that's an okay thing to talk about. I'd love to talk about if anybody's listening on here that comes up with a name that is out there, but you're like, dang it, my name, and it's not. We found Amon Kalan, Callan, and it was taken by just somebody that's not making music, but just took the name on Spotify on the out there. And when that happens, sometimes those people, if they're really low, those accounts don't stay around for a long time. They will eventually disappear. But in the meantime, just like we did right here with mine, we put the word UK at the end. And although I was concerned at first, there was some advice that he received, and when you receive your advice from good places, which I trust this place of advice, then you can move forward with these things. And I also wrapped my head around it and said this is a good decision too. So anybody that you find a name and you may be a little like, shoot, man, it's okay. Research who the other person is. Now, if they have 100,000 monthly followers, you may be like, okay, you need to go make an altercation, man. But
For sure.
so if they're just somebody just taking up space when they shouldn't be, don't worry, they're gonna be gone because Spotify doesn't like that stuff, anyways. So yeah, that brand with Amon Callan, we have hot sauce and fruit, and it really balances that you can make the hot stuff and you can make the feel good stuff, which I think is
Yeah.
really cool, really cool. So New Dawn was more of like the fruit.
Yeah, it's leaning towards the fruit. And the thing is, like, well, what I like with my music is that if it's dark, I like it to have an essence of something bright, and vice versa.
Yeah.
If it's bright, I like to have some dark. So, like, that's what my signature would be, I guess.
Yeah.
Uh, it starts off with like a bit of like that soul wave. It's a bit dark in the beginning, like, all right, cool, this is a bit serious. And then with the
Mm-hmm.
break, it gets brighter, the Anjana side, and then we got a bit of a darker drop, and it just plays out like neutral, and then it ends with a bit of
Right.
dark. So it's like going back and forth. But that's what I do enjoy. It's like the dark stuff, which is chill, but then it gives you some sort of like there's some light in it as well. And I
Yes.
do feel like Anjana they have quite a few songs which even though they're like, feel good music, they can go pretty dark as well, but then at the end it's like still feel good stuff.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, the song just felt really mature to me, and that's why
Appreciate it.
I was taking it in. And I mean, I don't know if other labels do this, but the way I'm running right now, after a year and a half, I'm in my second year, and I'm really putting the foot down and trying to put the work forward and really focus on everybody and deliver. But with doing that and delivering for the artist, I just have to make sure that I'm considering how fast I'm going. And when I go, I filled up the rest of this year, but the way I filled up this year, and I don't know if all labels do this, but I will literally like find somebody when I'm on social media, and I've come across something that's being posted, and if I think I can reach out to them and they're doing good music and I reach out to them, that's how I've made like four or five of the contacts, like
Nice.
cold calls, and or a simple reach out. And you just don't know what's going to work and what's not, because yeah, there's an artist named Tristan Chance that sent me music, and we're releasing music later this year. And the guy, he had a podcast with us, and he is just sending his music out just very consistently to all these local labels and even the bigger ones, and he's getting snaps on it, which is just kind of like, I don't know. I'm speaking so much about this because it's a confusing space as as you're transitioning from a DJ to an artist, and when you become an artist and you're building up your bank and you're trying to connect with people, you don't know what to release. You don't know how to reach out to a label. Is my music even good enough that I can send it to the big labels? And all of it, the answer is just yes. Just do it, right? Like, just try every single thing. Um, but also take in consideration, I want to take this moment, take in consideration at what point you're sending that song to that label that you want to hear your music, because that does matter. If they just, maybe they don't get to your song and it was trash, you got lucky because they have hundreds and hundreds. But if they come across you and you're very early in your career, and I don't know if they would remember you in a year if you look back around and your music's amazing, but maybe they do remember that that was what you sent them, and that maybe they won't open up another email. And sometimes that is a hard truth. So it's all about where you're learning to how to release your music, because there's a bad advice and there's good advice, and some people just say just send, and yes, that's good advice to try, right? But I don't
Hmm.
think it's good advice to just try anywhere. And that goes for your gig selections, not just choosing any gig, not just saying I need money right now, or I need a show, and get doing any gig. That's why I ask people what's your favorite locations in your cities, because I want to know if you're trying to play at those places, because those are the places that you should be targeting. And if you're not there yet, it's okay. We got a lot of time at home, right? You're grounding yourself. I'm grounding. That's that's what I learned like 4 years ago, man. Like,
For sure.
I don't want to just throw my name into the basket of everyone trying to do just get a DJ gig, because I'm not just a DJ anymore.
Yeah, yeah. I think our work should generally be a reflection of who we are and may it be the best. Because, we go through a dozen of songs that we make, and I know for sure not every track we make is our best.
No, no, absolutely.
Yeah,
It's
for sure.
not. But it deserves. And if it's not ready, you just work on it. And if you're not playing the gigs right now, it's okay. Like, I felt the main reason. Actually, and I'd love to ask you this. The main reason why I wanted to become an artist is because I knew it was a healthy and fulfilling path. I knew I had to stay healthy to keep my mind right so I could write and so I could show up once to get everything in order to be able to perform my music. you got to be healthy and you got to be clear-minded.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. I feel like there's a lot to it. You need to definitely know how to manage yourself.
Yeah.
And that could, like, for example, for myself, I'm waking up at 4, right, in the morning, so I can be sure that I can get everything I need to do before work done. And then when I finish work, it's just me and music.
Man, that's a man
And
right here. That's when I feel when I'm getting into like I'm gonna be a man this week. I do that 4 or 5 a.m. stuff too, man. It gives us so much space.
and it makes you feel so much better. Like, I generally look, finish the gym, boom, felt so good. I've already conquered
Yeah.
my morning. All I got to do is go to work, come home, and then I have all the time in the world to focus on what matters. And then beyond that, when you're like when you're doing your music, there's you're still learning tutorials, let's say, or you're still trying to do
Mm-hmm.
sound design. You
Yep.
work on the keyboard. Then there's a producing bit. So Monday through Friday, if you can like kind of prioritize that, it
Mm-hmm.
really helps you like free up some mind headspace for sure.
Yeah. Man, our conversation is just going through like I don't even have to like bring up the random questions. Like we're getting to
I
everything
appreciate
I
it.
talk about, which is
It's good,
just
man.
which brings me to a point that I'm selecting people on this label that every single person that I've selected, I've had a phone call with, I've talked with, and I feel like resonating like heart to heart. Like these people, y'all are good people. You're passionate. You're healthy. You're thinking about things for the long run, and you're in no rush, but you're at a pace. You're at a good pace, and
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
you just I love every person that I'm putting the name on PH7 Records because every single one of them I see a future, and I
I respect that.
wouldn't be given my efforts and everything that I do with the label to somebody if I didn't fully believe. I want the artist to come here. You've already done the work, and so I just want to show you what I believe I can do for you and see if it works. And I think it's gonna
I,
work
lo-
with you, man, as it's
I
been
love
working
that. I
for the
appreciate
others.
it. Because like your hard work and my hard work, it should come to a point like where they shake hands and we both can. It's a mutual benefit from the relationship,
Partnership,
and I think, yeah,
partnership. People don't realize that. I think people with experience realize it, but people with no experience don't realize the partnership it actually is to release music, to get booked, to go to a festival and put it on. All of it takes partnership,
yeah,
and
for real.
what's it's not what's the exchange, it's just hey, I want you and I to do as much as we can together so we can have the best possible.
For sure. Yeah,
That's the way to do it. That's the way to get. Well,
I love
we're
that.
doing super good on time, and we've gone through just we blended through all of our questions today, which
Oh,
I
really? Oh,
love.
sweet. That's cool.
Is so super. We talked about brand, we talked about the DAW a little bit, we talked about your inspirations, where you're living, why dance music. Um, are there any scenic spots out there in London that if you had a little team to help you go set up one and get that scenic set that we all know and love and see like Rufus Du Sol doing, those kind of
Like
things.
fake
What
sets, yeah.
would there be any do you like to hike at all? I don't know if you're
Oh,
an
yeah.
outdoors guy or not.
No, 100%. So this is interesting you say this because, like, well, I actually was on a hike early this year. I went to a couple, and the first one was Snowdonia. So keep in mind, like, England's literally the size of Texas, right? So,
Wow.
like, so yeah, yeah. So it was for us, even though it's the other side of the country, it was like a 4-hour drive away. So I went there, and it's one of the biggest mountains that we have. So I went there with my squad. We hiked to the top, took about 5 hours, but we were going up while everybody was coming down. So we had the whole like peak to ourselves. It was sunset, purple sunset. You could see the ocean, the lakes, all the mountains, and I was like, this would be perfect for a circle set. So for me,
My
like,
gosh.
I was like, yeah, like
It
that
was f-
moment or somewhere up in the mountains
so
like that.
four it was 4 hour it was a 4 hour hike just to get up to the peak.
Yeah, yeah, it took us 5, but we
So
took
five.
time.
Yeah.
It was an 8-hour trip round.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know those exact hikes that you're talking about, which are like I could imagine lugging like, but I have been in like Bratislava, Slovakia, and I was
Oh,
just a
man.
business trip, and we actually went to some cottages, and we were going up the these Tatra mountains, and this guy was carrying some wooden construction with like
Oh,
a lot of stuff packed into it, and it was just on his back, and he was bringing up to the cottage that we found about 2 hours up,
that's
and I
crazy.
was. because we had cottages you were staying in, and there was like a cottage where you stop off, get some beer or whatever,
Yeah, yeah, for
or some
sure.
food. And I was like, oh my God, I couldn't imagine just packing on like that amount of stuff on
It's
my back.
crazy.
And just this guy had the biggest calves, biggest thighs, just tree trunks, man. Like,
They're a different breed, man. Like for real. Like, cause after that I was exhausted, and I still had like a 2 hour drive after that. But doing that on a daily basis with weight, it's just insane. I could
that's
barely carry
insane.
my bag.
I yeah, right, bro. Wow, 4 hours. What was the name of that? I want to write that
It's
down.
Snowdonia, so it falls under Wales, but it's like it's a 4 hour drive from mine.
Okay.
But it's
Wow.
beautiful. I definitely recommend it. And yeah, I was up there. I was like, circle set would be perfect here.
That is amazing, dude. Yeah. There's I love asking that, especially I ask a lot of California people this that I have on the podcast because I remember my time in California. There's beautiful ocean and mountains.
Yeah, for sure.
We have hills in Austin, Texas. We have a lot of hills, and there's some beautiful, more flat creek type
I see. I
hikes.
see.
Um, but definitely a very nature-driven place Austin is, but no mountains, and that's why we got to
Oh,
travel.
okay.
We got to travel for mountains, being in Austin. But yeah, so
Damn, no, that's cool. That's because that's like traveling out the country, like far. Like for us, like I said, it's a small country, man.
yeah, I guess I could go to like there's El Paso. El Paso has big canyons and mountains and stuff, but
Oh no.
what we have in Austin for as far as scenic shots would be like we have two really beautiful lakes. One that runs right through Austin, and then the other one's like way west, and it's called Lake Travis. And there's some beautiful spots out there in the surrounding areas. I'd probably
I know.
do something like that if I were to do something Austin local.
That's
Um,
awesome.
Pretty city, very pretty city. Um, well, all right, man. I think we're about to transition. I like to ask this one because after this conversation, I would respect this answer because you are now seems that your song writing process has, increased in speed and to finish. How do you finish songs, or what helps you finish songs these days?
So for me, I have this thing to myself that I call fuel my ambition, and it's I love reading, but I love reading books that nourish my mind, and they tend to be things that literally fuel my ambition to get things done. It's part of my morning routine. Like after the gym, I'll read before I start work, and it helps me fuel my day. But yet again, these are books for more like self-development. And then oddly enough, the rave as well. When I go to a rave, it fuels my ambition. I'm like that guy there. Like I'm working hard to get to that spot. Because when I leave the rave, I'm like if you can imagine it, you should treat it as though it's within reach, let's say.
See that
And
you need to see it right
to
there.
like, yeah, exactly. And like if people are like, oh, why'd you go rave so much or this and that, I'm like, two things: I enjoy the hell out of it, but at the same time it does fuel my ambition. So
I love
then I
that.
get back into the door and like, all right, finish this song, let's get into the next one, because even though I'm still working on this, I'm still looking forward to starting the next one because the ideas are coming out for another track.
Yeah.
But and like right now, like this evening, I want to finish what I've been working on so I can jump on to the next one. Because when I do my songs, I do one like light, one dark, one light, one dark. So I get a bit of both. So it kind of like
Yeah.
mixes it up here and there. So I'm ready to move on to a darker techno song. But right
Yeah.
when I finish this one up.
So it seems that it's like a lot of, getting your mind right, waking up on time, reading in the morning, making sure what you read is important and what you're
100%.
consuming, because it starts you off and puts your mind of what you're going to be thinking that day. And if you're thinking about and you're reading about stuff that's about self-development, definitely that's putting you in the right space for the day. I resonate with the rave thing because once you go out and you remind yourself where you're trying to get, it's just, yeah, dude, brings you back to where you started. All that
Yeah.
energy. You're like, wow,
Yeah.
I want that amplification of all my sound. Like, let's go, please. Yeah, it's something to work towards, man. All of
Yeah.
those.
100%.
It sounds like a concrete way it's not any technical advice on how to do this or that while you're working. It's how to keep your mind, because it's like going to school. The teachers, they all we can do really is regurgitate it sometimes. But once we understand the logic of it, we can go apply the logic and develop how just with logic is there. Now we trust ourselves. Now we can go and do the work. Once we put ourselves in that moment, we're not just trying to regurgitate something. We're applying logic based on our experiences. Now we can apply the logic and incorporate our experiences and write. I think that's really a good way to think about it.
Yeah, I definitely think like we are a byproduct of what we consume.
Yeah.
Whether it's like, the raves you go to, the books you read, or even like what you're watching, the music you're listening to. But as long as you can use it for your own benefit, then, let it fuel that ambition.
Absolutely. All right. So, man, we basically were talking hydration talk and balance and sustainability already, which we may loop back around. There's one question in that bank for that one. But right now we will jump into the music, one of my favorite parts of this podcast. Let's move into the music. This is my favorite part of the podcast. We get to jump into the artist's music. Sometimes it's released, sometimes it's unreleased. These are unreleased tracks. So I'm on this first one with Paradise. You sent me another one, which is called Endless. So which one do you want to start with? And with that one that we start with, tell us a little bit about it.
I'll do Paradise Bound. So this is one of my lighter tracks. It's written in the name, something more for summer. I think it was last year actually. I was making, a light song, a dark song, but then at the time, summer was coming along, holiday was coming up, and I was like, I think Paradise Bound. The way it just naturally happened, I wasn't intentional in making a song like that, but once you're in the DAW and you're just there, it kind of just rolled off and it started sounding good. I was like, hang on a second, it sounds like feel-good music, so I just kept it going that way, and I think it did pretty well enjoying those like summer emotions out.
Love that. Well, let's hear some of those warm tones and a little bit of that energy. We'll get into this. Is Paradise by Aman.
There you go. That was
I'm going to punch myself. No, I'm just
You're almost there.
Okay, we're getting to it. All right, we are back. That was a journey, man. I love to give my 2 cents on listening to Paradise Bound. Wow, that did feel like it was Paradise Bound. Nice. Um, Great melody. Strings felt smooth and carried. The introduction that it kind of gave it more of a dark feel, as you were saying, and it was like dun 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 dun, and you had a good kind of up and then down, and you were going back and forth with that one. That one sounded kind of cool. I wanted almost something more. There's something more to do with that. There's more to that guy's story, that element. There's more to that guy's story, I feel like. But I like where he's sitting right now. The watery sounds almost like wind chimes almost at times. I think I couldn't describe it, but it felt like a waterfall type of thing that you had in there. That was just really nice. I like that. Overall, gave me kind of Tinlicker vibes.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely, man. So do you know that synth that I'm talking about? That darker feel is that
Yeah,
what was in your mind when you were uh, not just when you like found it, because that was like a good sound, right? And it was exciting to find. What was your like thought process when you were arranging that and placing that in the song, and the minimalness that you did with it?
so the thing is, what's interesting is that was the very first thing that I put into the DAW to like figure out where I'm going with this, and I wasn't looking to make it a light song. It just happened to go that way, but I was initially looking for something a bit darker, like a darker bass line, but then it
Yeah.
just sounded good, and then naturally I felt like it was going that way, and I was like, hang on, this sounds good. I think we're gonna go in that direction.
Yeah, yeah,
But
dude, I've done that too, man. I start to write something that's just like more on the darker side. I'm trying to write something darker. I sat down and then I start to use these more uplifting kind of strings or pads or whatever.
and it just takes you
Chords.
the other way. I definitely feel like it is a bit harder to write something darker. I don't know from my experience, where naturally when you have like something playing in a higher octave, it kind of feels it with a brighter sound, and
It does.
I don't know, takes it that direction.
Sometimes adding that extra octave, filling in that extra octave space is really satisfying. It feels a little bit more full. I don't know, like last night I watched a documentary on the Beach Boys, and it just was like the pioneers of harmony and sound and stuff, and the full wall of sound, and that it was just kind of a cool generation. I love looking back on it, music history. It's so cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so next on the thing is Endless. We have that from you, Aman. Do you have any 2 cents on this one? What inspired you? What are your favorite element of the song?
So with this one, it's I actually started this when I left the US last year in September 2018, and this is the one where it took me because I was constantly moving around to finish it, and I finished it early this year. So the song itself was like an endless journey, but there was a lot of emotion involved through the moves, like leaving family like on multiple occasions, and a lot that I was going through. So in that break, what I do love is that in general I love strings, pads. I feel like they draw emotion, and you can hear it in this one. It is one of my best, I'd say, to date, and it takes you on a journey. So yeah, I'm keen on sharing it, but yeah, it's an endless journey. Best way I can put it.
Amen. From the U.S. all the way back to the U.K. Let's do this damn
That's it,
thing. I love
for
it.
sure.
Well, Endless by Aman Kahlon. Didn't want that one to end, bro.
And let's say,
Oh my God, there's your sound, dude. That one is your best song. Is one that is fully composed, has all the elements. Man, and it even like in this podcast asking you, some of your inspirations and some of the band. Did you say Linkin Park earlier?
yeah, for sure, man,
You
100%.
did. This synth in there, it brought me like I'm like midway through, I'm really noticing that dun, dun, it's that kind of piano driven synth that it kind of puts me in the movies like the Transformer movies with
Yeah,
Linkin
yeah,
Park closing it off.
the
And
new
it
vibe,
put me in
yeah.
Transformers. My first mind went to Shia LaBeouf in Transformers and Megan Fox, and then I went to, oh wait, no, Linkin Park, and then I was like, wait, I think he said Linkin Park in the beginning,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so
correct,
I
man.
was like, it was just so interesting because the melody was it's catchy. It made me feel good, man. Everything's there. I absolutely want it, but I would say I would pitch this first because what I do, I love. I've already started to work with you and partner with you with New Dawn, and we'll see where that one goes, which I
For
believe in it.
sure.
But I would be blessed to get this song. But what I would encourage as a artist myself and somebody doing my own thing here in Austin, I really like that song, and I really want you to send that off to Anjuna Beats. Send that to This Never Happened. Send that to the Deep Anjuna Deep. I know they have a second label. That song fits a lot of what everyone's doing in Deep, and it's almost has trance elements to it, which I
Hmm.
really loved. Um, yeah, it was a very mature sound.
I
On
appreciate it. Thank
very
you.
mature one. That's an accelerator song. I love that one. I'm
Thank
gonna
you, man.
play that song for sure in my sets.
For sure, no, I appreciate it. That's the one that took like forever because of all the moves. But like in hindsight, I'm like, if I worked at it any quicker, it probably wouldn't have sounded that way. Do you know what I mean? So
No,
it's
yeah,
interesting how
worth
it
it,
worked. Yeah.
worth it. At least I think it's worth it. Hopefully my response to you is worth it.
No, no, 100%. I love it, man. Thank you. It's reassuring because it is for me. I say it's my best, and like everything, it is getting better and better. But it hits the spot for me for sure. Like the build up. It's
Yeah. It's so good, man. Yeah, the build up. It was a song that I could hear on a festival stage from a mature artist. And that's when, I mean, I was impressed from when I started and even more impressed now, man. So super happy, overjoyed to know you, dude. Overjoyed to have
thank you. I
you.
appreciate it, brother.
Yeah,
I
this is
appreciate it.
amazing. This is amazing. So this last chat, we've gone through some songs. I'm glad that was a song that we could show them endless today, unreleased. Sit on that, and we'll get a plan to that one. That one's super cool. Shifting over to the last part of the podcast is the PH7 hydration talk, and with that talk, we talk about sustainable habits and longevity and living healthily and healthy body, healthy mind to be able to write the music that we do and produce everything that we output. So, what do you do as an artist, as a producer DJ that has art to make, has songs to make, has content to create, has maybe shows to finally try to target and maybe get to. Maybe you're documenting all this stuff, all the business admin stuff. How do you balance all of it and stay a creative, all as one as yourself?
Honestly, it comes down to like the routine I have in place, and I think routine is really key. But essentially, what it does is empty like everything in here so that you can be creative. And I feel like unless you physically exhaust yourself, you will have that mental chatter there. So again, it's in the morning. First thing I do, hit the gym at 5, and then I come back, shower up, meditate, and then I read, all without looking at my phone because those first few hours are like yours alone, right? So once you look at your phone or you talk to somebody, look at the news, your mind's gone elsewhere. But you do this without looking on your phone, you realize that there's nothing on my mind, yet I'm emptying it out. Go to work, do my day, etc., then come back, bit of journaling, and then to the music, or journaling after the music. But I feel like you're more creative when there's less in your mind, and that allows it really allows you to like close all those open tabs, if that makes sense. Because the other
Yeah.
day I was like having a bad day, and I'm just sitting down like I got so much to do for the weekend regarding music. Like there's so much that overwhelms you. I whipped out my journal and I just wrote down my to-do list, and I was like, all right, Saturday, Sunday, boom, I can do this. And you're just writing it down to say halves your problem straight away. And that's
Yeah.
what I felt. And it allowed me to tackle my whole weekend. And I was just, come Sunday night, I was happy as hell. Like I managed to do everything that I couldn't even keep tabs on.
And
So definitely through, I guess, prioritizing yourself mentally and physically. Once
amen
you
to
do
that.
that, well, once you know you're doing the right thing, you're like, all right, cool, I can now freely make music without having to worry about whatever else is going on in my mind.
Yeah.
But
I see that.
yeah,
What we're seeing right here is that routines lets you empty the noise, clear the mind to fill it with space to create.
100%, yeah, 100%.
Well, the journaling is a great thing. When I first wrote journaling down, I'm thinking like journaling about like what's going on in your day, so like you can just like kind of unload it. But there's also the journal of the bullet points, and getting the plan done for the day or the weekend. And I
For
really
sure.
resonate with that. Sounds like a goal-oriented mindset, which is very key and essential in this field.
It is 100%. It's harder when you're working full time, you know. It's like, and then you want to socialize, and it's the time for me, like, because it takes me a while to get to the city. The boys want to
Mm.
like have a beer or they want to chill. I'm like, that one beer is going to cost me half hour I don't have. I need to
Yeah.
get back. I need to eat. I need to like get on my goals. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, go back and
But,
sleep. I love being able to go out and also being able to say, "Hey, it's already midnight. I mean, how much more this night do I really want?" And
yeah,
go home, get yourself some cup of soup and some water, and go to sleep.
for sure. I think all is well, provided you don't jeopardize the next day. But like it happens during
Yeah.
summer, festival
Oh,
season,
absolutely.
like it happens for sure.
We can't. That's another thing that although there's so many people saying do this right, do this right, and these are practices to live sustainable. Because why have I even said this? Meet me in the middle. Sustainable mindset, dude. I've dealt with stuff, man. Like I'm trying to be
Yeah,
the best me week to week, and when it comes to not doing something that is fall of habit, or not even just a bad thing. Like, some nights are going to be longer than others, right? Um,
100%.
Controlling how you go about that night and making sure it doesn't, have ramifications for the next day or two is very important as we grow up. We
Yeah,
drink less, do more, talk to more people. I mean, you think you're talking to more people when you're drinking because you're like talking to everybody, you're
yeah,
fun, but at the end of the day, how many of it is for conscious conversations? Like,
exactly. Yeah, kind of, half of them are meaningless at times, but I
yeah,
just,
you gotta have. I think it's a very nice balance to be up there with like like a seltzer water, or and just one drink, and just hang on to that one drink in front of everybody because you're a freaking DJ. You're there to show them a party, and so if
yeah,
you're up there on a freaking we have Topo Chicos here,
oh,
seltzer
really,
water. So it's like we have a
okay,
Topo Chico, and he's like, oh, that guy's not really partying. I mean, it's respectable, but I think it's. I've always, at least in my experience, it's a little nice, a little more engaging. I have like a, I don't know, something to just right there to drink. Maybe have a sip once an hour or
yeah,
30
yeah, for
minutes.
sure.
Something
I get that.
something there. Yeah, because the there's a lot of people that think that they have to the goal is what I've learned through therapy is that even when you put up the decision of, oh, I'm going to cut off fully of drinking, now you've put up a barrier for yourself that is designed to be broken down. You've put up a
Yeah, I
barrier
see it.
that can be exhausted or misused. It's a barrier there. So the true therapy that I've learned is to let it be in your space. Otherwise, it has consumed you. So if you can, that is the real tackle. If you can hold your drink there, and you can just have this one drink there because you're really there to just play the music, you need something to sip on. So there's your water. That guy, that drink right there allows you to, still be there in the space, but you are the power. You are the
Yeah.
one in control. You don't have to create a barrier that is what not weak people, but it is a weak mindset, what I've learned. And that's what I love therapy. This mental health month for men. Like,
Yeah, for
it's so
sure. Yeah.
important because the goal is not to put up barriers around you in life to be all, the goal is to be ultimately powerful and withhold yourself with so many different forces and know that you can be present, you can be here and present with yourself, and you are the biggest person to yourself in the room at all times. I speak men confidence because it is so hard growing up, and there's so many forces from going to school to coming out, the relationships you get in, trying to do something you actually love in this world, not knowing if it's right or not, but having the right mindset the whole time. And yeah, that's just what I preach and what I like to bleed into, man. But
No,
that's
for
me
sure.
finding balance in EDM.
I appreciate it. No, you need to like be mindful going forward because we burn out, man. Like if we don't look after ourselves, we burn out, and like it's not good.
Yes, exactly, exactly. So, anything that you would want to plug coming up? Anything that you're the rest of this year? What are you going to be focused on if you are going to be performing? Because I ask people to plug, hey, what shows you got coming up? But me myself, I'm not even performing. I so I'm planning, and I'm doing things. I'm creating music, and that's part of everything. Are you doing something? So, what are you thinking
For
about for the
sure.
rest of the year?
So for me, I'm not actively performing, but I am pursuing it. I'm actually working with another academy in the UK to help you get gigs at these like really good rave venues, like the ones I mentioned, Ministry of Sound, Egg.
Oh, that's smart,
They,
man.
they actually they place you there rather than having to kind of find your own way, which can prove quite difficult when you're in like London. It's a huge city, but if you can go through an academy, they'll place you, provided you show up. And
Yeah,
then other than that, I'm really trying to push my music. I'm trying to make as much music as I can to the best I can. Just like Endless, like I feel like my music is at that standard. As I
yeah,
mentioned, New Dawn was the oldest song that I kind of revived, but going
right.
forward, starting from scratch, I'm trying to get as much music out as possible so I can gain exposure because I
Yeah,
know from this point onwards, my music is it's industry standard, whereas previously it wasn't.
copied.
So I am
I
confident in
agree.
that approach. That I'm ready to like finally, as an artist, get myself out there.
Yeah, no, you've really honed in and focused on what you can control, and that is the the hardest thing to do sometimes is blocking out all the noise. But back to you and your advice, it's the routines and it's the building
Yeah,
yourself and keep on feeding in. And you've got into the industry standard. You're saying it out loud, and I love the confidence in your voice because
I appreciate it.
your ears correct, sir. It's there, brother, and happy to work with it. This was so fun to have going through the songs, learn about your journey, bouncing from the U.S. back to the U.K. and some of the music you've made in the process, and some of your aspirations going forward. Because I think you're already putting yourself there mentally, and that's what you need to do, man. And strive towards it, keep working, and I'm blessed to be working with you. So.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me, man. It's been a pleasure, and yeah, nice talking for real.